Hi, I'm Ari, I'm the Oak Witch, and in today's video we're going to be talking about burnout. So I've been seeing a lot of people talk about burnout recently. There's been some really great videos on this topic already, but I wanted to dedicate a video to this. I've already spoken about burnout and feeling stuck in your craft before on my channel. I've done a video on imposter syndrome, which kind of blends into this discussion, but I just wanted to have this candid video, just having a chat, having a cup of tea, or this is actually hot chocolate, but I just wanted to go over some advice and tips I have for anyone who is feeling burnt out, is feeling a bit stuck or in a rut in their magical practice. I hope you can excuse a bit of a raspy voice and looking a bit more casual today. I still have COVID, I'm recovering, but I wanted to film a video this week and I thought it'd be nice just to have a let's discuss, just a nice little chat. I think a lot of us get into ruts in our craft, and for reasons vary, but I think perhaps it's due to overzealousness or a lack of inspiration, or perhaps not enough inspiration. Perhaps some people focus too much on reading and research and don't do enough practice, or perhaps some people are practicing too much and perhaps not learning anything new and researching. Sometimes life just gets in the way. Non-magical, mundane life things can happen and it can set us back. Mental health can get really overwhelming and it can leave our practices feeling a bit dry or a bit quiet or dormant, and it can be hard to really pick it up again. Like I said before, I have done a video on imposter syndrome already. I did that a while ago now, and if you wanted to watch that video, please do, because a lot of the advice kind of blends over when we're looking at imposter syndrome and burnout. So I won't really be repeating some of the advice I gave in that video, so please watch that video if you're interested. But yes, the feelings that, these obstacles, imposter syndrome, burnout, can occur are quite the same, and I think it can be hard for a lot of people to really even recognize that they're burnt out, for starters, and pick up their practice again in ways which makes them realize how much they loved it in the first place. I think the first piece of advice I want to give, which might sound a bit bad, is just genuinely have a break. I think sometimes, when people get stuck or feel like they're in a rut in their practice and there's this push to keep on practicing, to really try find something to remotivate you and to really keep at it, and sometimes, when you're trying to force something too much, it really just makes you not want to do it at all. I think sometimes our brains can get like this, and to this I say, if you just have other stuff going on, if your mental health isn't great, or for whatever reason you're feeling burnt out and you're feeling stuck, perhaps actually just give yourself a break. This might not be the most popular advice, and I don't mean to just pack up your things and stop calling yourself a witch for a year. I just mean, sometimes taking like maybe 2 weeks off, just actually allowing yourself to perhaps just not think about magic or things for a while. If you are getting to that point where you are really stuck and it's really taking a toll on your mental health, trying to think of ways to get out of this rut in your practice, sometimes actually just a break, setting something aside for a meantime, can actually really help you realize what you are missing, what you missed. I think for some people that drastic change can really help your mindset, and really just having a period of time where you're not really thinking about magic, you're not thinking about your deities, you're not thinking about spells and stuff. You're just taking time to recuperate maybe your mental health, maybe and mundane life stressor that is going on that you just need to focus on. Sometimes people just need that, and I think that is okay. It doesn't mean that their title of being a witch or being a pagan is revoked. It doesn't mean that you lose any of the experiences that you've had. You just need to prioritize your mental health. You need to prioritize self-care. Whatever you need to prioritize first, sometimes you just need to do that. Of course, I've spoken about on my channel before, the mundane is magical, and this concept of actually, you know, not really seeing them as necessarily distinct and living life every day in really seemingly mundane ways is magic, as part of my magical practice. And that doesn't necessarily go away in this break, but I think perhaps sometimes people really just need to step back from perhaps a lot of the more practical things that you set yourself in a regular practice if you kind of just don't have the spoons, if you don't have the energy to do those things. And if you're worried about angering any deities or spirits, just communicate with them before you go on your break. Might not be a very popular tip, but I just think it's worth considering and allowing yourself some slack if you really need it. Perhaps a different thing to consider is if you really are feeling stuck and burnt out and you sort of lost your way a bit, perhaps take time to step back, maybe not necessarily a break, but take time to introspect and reflect on the core values and beliefs of your practice, the belief foundations in which your practice is built upon. Dive deep into your own personal philosophy or theology. You know, what do you believe? Models do you ascribe to most in your magic? Is it the spirit model, where obviously you believe there are autonomous entities invisible to us and they are the ones working the magic in which you petition to them? Or do you believe in the energy model, that there is energy in everything, every action is the movement of energy? Or do you believe in the psychological model? Or do you believe in some of these combined? You know, figure out your core beliefs and what you think actually happens in this whole sort of world of magic. When we're looking at spirits, perhaps ask yourself, you know, where do these spirits come from? Why do they need offerings from us? Think about these philosophical questions and really take time to reflect on these core values, why, what you believe, why you believe it, and how those beliefs shape your practice. Because I think that sometimes when we do get into ruts in our practice, perhaps it's caused by a kind of just automation, you know, just going with the flow of things, and sometimes, you know, maybe you're a bit bored or you don't really know how to progress further in your craft. And asking yourself these questions can be quite important in actually enforcing your practice, validating and strengthening your practice. It can be really helpful. For those who perhaps feel a bit disorganized and like in a bit of a mess in their craft, and that's how they feel stuck and burnt out, perhaps setting a schedule of magical tasks can really help you clear and focus your mind to get your practice moving again. And this schedule can obviously just be whatever, you know, your practice looks like. But for example, you could set every Monday replenish your offerings. Every full moon you write in your journal. Every Saturday light some incense with intention. You know, set yourself a schedule of maybe small magical tasks, and these items will ensure productivity in your craft and your practice, and it will help it get it moving again. Perhaps you might look at magical timings of the days of the week and set a schedule of magical tasks relating to the intentions of the planners of each day, so that you do feel in tune with the sort of rhythms and cycles of magic and of nature. This next tip is perhaps for my fellow mental health witches, and just go out for walks. Go out for idle walks. Walks that, you know, don't have to necessarily be out in nature. Just literally go outside and feel the elements around you. So that means not having your headphones in, perhaps not looking at your phone. Make sure you don't have any distractions that will really take you out of experiencing the world around you. It doesn't have to be a long walk. If you really struggle with motivating yourself to go outside, perhaps you want to just literally go up and down the street. And if that's all you can handle, then just do that. But I think really getting yourself out there in a different environment than, you know, perhaps the ones you're surrounding yourself in regularly, that's making you feel like you're in a rut. Perhaps just really like getting yourself out in a different environment regularly can help shake up this feeling of being in a rut. Also, I think, you know, when you are going outside for walks, listen to the bird songs. Perhaps take photos and ID random plants on the pavement, you know? I spoke about how to connect to your local land in a previous video if you're interested in that, but it's just this concept of really getting out there and experiencing new things and connecting to your land. In my imposter syndrome video, a tip I gave was going back to the basics, and I won't repeat that tip here, but I think something I want to add on to that for specifically burnout, which is this concept of just doing like a deep cleanse. For me, when I feel burnt out or stuck, I really just change furniture around. Like, I reorganize my books on my shelf, I reorganize my altar, and that is a form of cleansing. Perhaps, honestly, your house just needs a deep cleanse and purification. Perhaps that's what you just need. The atmosphere's maybe a bit off, and there's this stagnant energy that's kind of seeping into, you know, your body and your practice. Perhaps you just need to get all that out and just do a deep cleanse. And if you're feeling a bit stuck on, you know, how to cleanse, and if you're burnt out in terms of your cleansing practice, then try and research new ways to cleanse. You know, do some digging online. There's loads of YouTube videos talking about cleansing. I have a video. There's loads of books talking about cleansing, and I guess in a way practice these basics differently. There's so many beginner witchcraft books. I'm sure you'll find something new in them, and yeah, just try out new things. I think that can be a great way to like shake up your practice, and trying new things can really help you either adopt new elements in your practice and get it moving again, or make you realize that actually I did really like what I was doing before. So, you know, it can definitely help. Another tip I would say is to take something of your practice and just master it. Now, obviously that sounds like easier said than done, but what I mean is essentially if you're feeling as though perhaps, you know the basics and you sort of have a practice, but perhaps you feel it's a bit too eclectic, or perhaps you just feel like there isn't anything in particular that you shine with, you know, like kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. Just take a look at your practice, like on the face of it. If it helps you, just set aside all your tools and ingredients that you usually use, just set them out in front of you on a table, and just pick something you feel really drawn to just immediately. Pick something which you think, oh, actually I probably couldn't practice my craft without this thing, and take it and really just dive deep into whatever that is. Just take it and really just do research, read books on that thing, research it online, you know, spend like a month just focused on that thing, practicing it, researching it, and really getting like as good as you think you could be in that one thing. For example, if you're feeling a bit stuck in your craft and you kind of want to do something but you don't know what to do, blah blah blah, you take out all your tools and you're immediately drawn to your tarot cards. Take your tarot cards and just research them, learn them, practice them. Really just focus on your tarot cards as a divination or just in your magical practice. Really just focus on tarot and let that become your thing. And specializing in something, I think, is something which can really help you feel good about your practice. You feel like you're advancing in something in particular. I think that can really help with that self-validation, and you know, you have your thing that you're good at. I think a lot of people can sort of find a lot of comfort in that. So perhaps if you're feeling in a rut, try something like that. If you know that you're more into plant magic, green witchery, just focus on one plant for a month and try learn as much as you can about it, its ecology, conservation status, its magical uses. Communicate with that spirit one-on-one. Really just go to town on practicing with this plant. Maybe use it in folk medicinal practices as well. Obviously, please be careful and please be safe. But you know what I mean? Just focus on something. If you are struggling with everything, you know, sometimes you need to narrow your focus and really sort of treating it as like an act of devotion to yourself in your practice. You know, just focus on something and try get really good at that particular thing. 2 books I want to shout out real quick. I think they're both amazing, both really comforting, give great advice for, you know, witchcraft and spirituality and magic in terms of your mental health and your mindset and how you approach your craft. these 2 books can be really helpful in helping shake up your practice, advancing it, but also really just strengthening it. And those 2 books are The Little Work and The Witch's Path. Both these books really just help you reevaluate your practice, really do a lot of introspection and reflection, and will really help in these issues of burnout, imposter syndrome. They're really great books. They don't do the work for you. That's the trick. These books are written to help you do the work. They do not tell you what to do. But overall, I think what I want to comfort you guys is that you're not alone, and people get burnt out all the time in magic and spirituality. It happens quite a lot. And there's so many reasons for why, and none of those reasons mean that it's your fault or that you're a terrible magical practitioner. I think with the increase with people online sharing their experiences and constantly barraged with people's lovely spell videos and people talking about their experiences, and even to an extent all the books that people are reading and buying, and I think all of it can become a bit too much. I think perhaps we get like a magical sensory overload, and honestly I think it affects people more than you think. The trick is with a magical practice is trying to find that balance, and to some it comes really naturally and people can do it, and to some, you know, we stumble across the way, and that's completely fine. But yeah, I'll stop talking now because feeling a bit tired from the COVID, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If anyone's been struggling with burnout or feeling stuck in their craft, just want to give you one big hug because I know how disheartening it can be, and perhaps if any of you have any tips you want to give, put them down below so we can all help each other. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was useful to you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.